Hello out there in YouTube land. It is time for my reviews of the comics for September 19th, 2018. I got done with them yesterday, so I figured I might as well do it. Excuse me. First, I have Legion of Doom number 8. I'm not sure how much I like this series the way Scott Snyder's doing it. Or this is actually Tinian the Fourth, because it's the Legion of Doom one. I think they're just trying to pack way too much stuff into this arc. And excuse me, it's I don't know, I don't want to say it's too much to remember, but it's getting like overly complex and stuff, and I don't know. So I'm gonna keep going, but I'm not as much into this as it was the last series. So I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. Aberrant number 4. This issue tells of a Batman type of character he's a billionaire who was a superhero. He was more along the lines of a Superman type, but he had the Batman type of fortune in the business. But he had a drinking and a drug problem, and had a situation where there was another type of superpowered, as they call it, aberrant, who would use their powers on them, and it was really addictive, and so it caused his powers to go away. And he allowed some bad guys to take control of his company and him, and use him and his company for nefarious purposes to get other superpowers, people for bad purposes, and him trying to get the company back. It's pretty interesting. This is a part of an overall story. I'm kind of enjoying this series, so I'm going to give it a 3.25 out of 5. Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1. This takes place during the time where Spider-Man has just come back from the battle world, from the first Secret Wars, and has what is going to become Venom on him, and he doesn't know what's going on. Venom is taking him out at night and kicking, beating up bad guys, and it's rather interestingly told from Venom's point of view. So you get a little bit of insight as to why Venom was, what was going to at some point become Venom, doing what he was doing. And it jumps a little bit over a little bit of time. It's not bad. 3.5 out of 5. True Believers, Marvel Knights, The Punisher of Spider-Man number 129. The first appearance of the Punisher. I've always wanted to read this. And of course, it is way too much money, I think, for me to afford to get an actual copy of the original. So this is nice to be able to read it, and 3.5 out of 5. Excuse me. Hack slash Resurrection number 11. This is the conclusion of this story arc with another Hack slash Vampirella crossover. You have Hack and Vlad going back to a town of her childhood and coming across a bunch of water vampires and teaming up with Vampirella to defeat them. And you are introduced to Cassandra Hack's great aunt, who is also a hunter. Excuse me. I do enjoy these stories. They're funny. They're interesting. Well done. 4 out of 5. The Immortal Hulk number 6. There hasn't been a bad issue of this series so far. Last one was, I still say, the weakest of the stories, but this one, excuse me, comes back up to the original standards. It's more backstory in this one. Well, not really backstory, but Banner isn't in it as much as this one. It deals with an Air Force general who's taking over for Thunderbolt Ross and going after Banner and the Hulk, trying to defeat them. You have Alpha Flight trying to deal with what is his name? The guy from the last issue, the Alpha Flight member, and you have Carol Danvers and Pop trying to deal with him, and I love how they even at one point mentioned the Hulkbuster base, which I think was my favorite Hulk series of all of them was the Hulkbusters. And it sets up a really awesome cliffhanger, which I'm not going to spoil here. For the next issue, which looks like it's going to be incredible. I am really looking forward to the next issue. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. And finally, Batman, number 55. You have, I think this is KGB Beast coming into Gotham. And it starts out really slow, just sort of follows him coming into town and his first little actions in town, which is just going to a diner and all, and then it switches back and forth between him and Batman and Dick Grayson, still, going out fighting crime and having little conversations about, the past, like Grayson trying to say, you should, do puns when you fight bad guys instead of just grunt and be sad. Why don't we switch and you make puns and me, punch people and be sad, and so it's just, I think it's Dick just trying to bring Bruce out of the funk that he is in. And then they get called by Commissioner Gordon, and it's a slow issue until the last page, when something happens which is kind of a big shocker and is going to lead up to the next issue. And excuse me, it's not anything that I saw coming, and I was really shocked by it, and I am really waiting for the next issue for this one just because it's incredible. So I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. And that's it for this week. I'm going to do a separate one for Batman Damned just because I want to go into detail on that one. So let me know what you think. Let me know what if you got anything that I did and what you thought of the stuff that I got. All right. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later.